So welcome, and this is the Zoom call of the OB Networking Group. Today is Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2021. It is Groundhog Day, and I'm very excited
Oh yeah,
to
that's
be
right.
networking. Yeah, happy Groundhog Day.
Yeah, happy
Um,
Groundhog Day.
and so welcome to everyone that's either on the call live or maybe watching on YouTube after the fact. And today our guest speaker is AJ, and AJ is going to be talking about credit and I believe about his business as well. And so we're gonna go around the room and everyone's gonna have at least a minute. If you need 2 minutes, you can do that. I think we'll have time to introduce yourself and share with us what is motivating you to network, and then to answer the icebreaker question as well, which today's icebreaker is: when was the last time you checked your credit?
Hmm,
And we're not going to make anyone answer it. If you don't like the icebreaker question, no pressure, but you will have to tell us your favorite restaurant.
hmm.
So the idea with introducing yourself is to clearly state your name, what's motivating you to network. You could even give out your website. And there's also this chat system within Zoom. And feel free to put in your contact information in the chat system as well, how people can get a hold of you. So, having said all that, do I have any volunteers to go first? Lenora, you moved your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I actually did say that I'll go. Hey, everybody, I'm
Hey.
Lenore Lostanow. So I haven't checked the credit like formally to buy something, but I have Wells Fargo and they give me my credit. So I'm actually pretty proud of it right now.
Yeah.
It's not always that great, but prime money right now. People are trying to give me 0% interest rate credit cards all the time. And so that's nice. If I
Yeah.
want to buy something, I can. And so I'm Lenora Lostanow, and I am your local realtor marketing pro. I say I'm a marketing pro because my formal training is in marketing communications. But and if anybody knows anyone or is interested or has curiosity about what the market is for selling right now, it is the optimal time. And nobody ever says they're happy they waited when there's a market like this. So I'll say that brief plug. But what I wanted to talk about today is in the last, how many months has it been since? Pretty much since COVID started, I've been working on kind of a holistic health and wellness / happiness coaching program. Not where I was in one. Well, kind of. I was personally been in one for the past several years, and that's what started my journey to become a holistic health coach. And I have earned several certifications since I saw you all last, or since COVID started. And I'm a positive psychology, certified positive psychology practitioner, a health and nutrition life coach, as well as several mindset life coach certifications, including cognitive behavioral therapy and RABT. But my whole purpose for gathering all this stuff is holistic health. And to me, that means more than just being happy. Happiness and physical health are interlinked, and I know in this environment people believe that. But so I've just been acquiring the variety of skill sets from nutrition and exercise to stress management tools to help people feel healthy all the way around so that they can be happier. So if you or anybody is interested in learning a little bit more about how I could help you, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you want to sell your house. Kind of on the spectrum, but actually the coaching has been really good as far as a behavioral change from the real estate perspective, because oftentimes people reach out to me and they have goals where they want to buy a house or they want to sell a house, but then are kind of scared and don't move forward. And so the whole coaching process was really enlightening for helping my real estate clients move forward to what they want to achieve as well. So anyway, took up a lot of time. Next.
Good job. All right. Thank you so much. Very exciting stuff. All right. Who would like to go next? And if no one raises their hand, I'm going to start calling on people.
I'll go next.
Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dwayne, and today I'm with the Red Spade Theatre. We're a little magic theatre that right now is doing everything on Zoom and online. So our newest event is Valentine's weekend, of course, because we're not quite sure what's going to happen between now and then. Last time I checked my credit, probably was beginning of last year. I haven't done anything major purchase, so had no need to check my credit in any way, shape or form, really. Yeah, and I'm here just to connect with people, see how what people are doing, what people are up to, have a nice conversation, meet some good people from OB. Yeah, that's it.
Excellent. And I feel like I've been mispronouncing your name. It's pronounced Dwayne,
Dwayne.
but there's like an extra couple letters in there.
Yeah, because I'm so special.
Yeah.
Okay. I apologize for
It's okay.
doing that in the
I'm used
past.
to it.
I'll try to be better next time. Hey, Terry, I'm going to call on you. What do you think about that?
Okay. First of all, sorry about the weird lighting. I don't know what, I just can't seem to get it so I don't fade in and out, but it's because I'm really broadcasting from a satellite out in space. I'm the resident sci-fi writer, right? So my name's Terry Lee Ralph, and I usually go by Tara, and I run the OB Writers Networking Group. I'm a spinoff from Chuck's group, and I'm a writer, editor, writing coach, life coach, and I'm so excited to hear you went and got certified for all this great stuff, Lenora.
Yeah, I'll send them to you for Vicky.
Yeah, I went to Bennett Stiller. I was just curious where you ended up going for where'd you go for your certifications?
Oh, it's called Transformation Academy. And then the positive psychology one was something different.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's awesome. So I come because I was one of the first members of the OB networking group, and I miss hanging out at Tawana, of course. And I'm always open to new clients, and I love knowing what the fellow OBians, et cetera, are doing. And it's just a great space to, learn too. And credit. I actually have good credit now. Go figure. I have not checked it recently. Experian keeps sending me little love notes, but yeah. But one time when I was at the bank, I said, should I click on those every time? And she was like, no, don't. You don't need to do that. But I can tell you what your credit is right now. And I said, oh, goody. And I'm actually in the process of saving to buy a house.
Great job. Well, Terry, met someone through Jude, a woman named Katie, who's a writer, and I spoke with her on Saturday, and I told her about you, and I was trying to get her to jump on this call. Maybe she'll be on one of the future ones. She's also a writer, and I said, you really need to connect with Tara.
Yeah.
So thanks, Jude, for making that connection. Katie seems really cool, and I'm going to try to get her to speak as well. And so let's see. Enball, would you like to go next?
Yeah. So I'm Enball. If you guys are nervous about how to pronounce my name, just read it. It literally is what it is. I'm an insurance agent. We're a general agency, so I do commercial and workers' comp. I also do some personal lines, home and auto mostly, but I kind of try and focus on the commercial insurance. I just started up a new branch here in San Diego. That's what kind of motivated me to try and network, because I'm originally from Israel, so I don't really have a lot of family or friends out here. So trying to kind of expand the network of people that I know and connect with. And for the credit, I've actually never checked my credit score. I have no idea what it is. I've only had credit for about 2.5 years now, maybe. So they told me use your credit card, it'll build your credit, and don't check it. So that's what I'm doing.
Well, we're so glad that you're here. That's exciting. Let's see, I think everyone went but AJ, but we're going to wait last to go with him. And then, so my name is Chuck. I think you all know me. I'm the organizer of the group. And one thing that I do try to do in between meetings is help people with leads. And I want to share my screen and share something with you because I just thought of an idea of how to maybe do a better job with that. So I'm going to pull up my screen. Can you guys see my screen right now?
Yeah, lots of Airbnb.
Yeah, so this is actually what I want to show you is the website of the OB networking group. And so I built this website 6 years ago. This is
Oh
this
yeah.
the article that Terry wrote about the group for the local paper. But what I want to show you is there's a page on here called members. And what I think I'm going to start doing is allowing anyone that attends one of these online meetings to get listed in the member directory. I used to have a requirement you have to speak to get listed to get more speakers, but I want to throw this out there that anyone that attends one of these calls now can get listed, and that way what it's useful for is a lot of times people will say to me, do you know someone that does such and such? And I meet so many people that I use this to jog my memory in terms of people's names and their contact information. So if you post your contact information into the chat system of Zoom, then I'm going to update
Okay.
the directory with your contact information. And I assume that you all want leads for
Yeah.
new customers.
Yeah.
So let's see. Yeah, so I run the networking group. I also build websites with WordPress, and I offer search engine optimization, which helps people I help people get their websites found on Google. I'm working mostly with small businesses that don't have a marketing budget for a full-time person. So if you know anyone that needs a website or help with web marketing, I would appreciate it if you could send them my way. And then to answer the icebreaker, I actually have one of my online banks is Capital One, and they give me free credit reports for some reason. I don't know why. I think because their security got breached. And then so they were for customer relations, they gave out free credit reports. So I checked my credit and it's good. So I have no issues there. And then let's see.
I get to go. Do you mind if I go?
No, not at all. It was great to see you, Jude.
Nice
And
to
if
meet
you
you.
want
No, no,
to,
no, no, I didn't get to.
oh, you didn't get to go. Oh, my
No.
apologies. Brain fart. Senior
Yeah.
moment. Go ahead, please.
To like, be a part of things here.
Yes,
So I'm
thank
Jude
you. I
Hotep.
apologize.
I'm Jude Hotep. I'm the Conscious Money Coach. I help women gain financial independence through soul, money, and mission and mindset. And I have a podcast called The Conscious Money Creation on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify. And I love working with people to transform their life through the power and transformation of coaching to make more money. And as far as credits, I don't really subscribe to that kind of view about it. I've checked my credit score recently and keep up on it, but I don't let it dictate my buying power. And my favorite restaurant is the Sushi Lounge in Encinitas.
Oh, yummy.
A little bit better than Point Loma one, but their salmon sashimi, I miss it so much. I had to get that in there. Great
Well,
to meet you all.
You've officially made me hungry, and I apologize for skipping over. I think because we were talking before the call started. So let's see, who else did I skip? Everyone else went, right? All right, so AJ, we have 45 minutes until 1 o'clock. So you have a lot of time to speak. Don't feel like you have to go that long, but if you do go until 12:55, I do have an alarm set on my phone, and I'll let you know you have 5 minutes to wrap it up. So please take it away, and thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Sure. Well, good. No, it's good afternoon now. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is AJ Allo, and I'm with Credit Education. We do credit education, optimization, and debt settlement. Periodically, I ask this question. Many people that are successful, I ask them, where did you learn about credit? Was it high school or college? And of course, the typical answer is we didn't. It's usually not until you have problems that you start understanding how credit works. Now, specifically here, we have a group that has a lot of credit, a lot of good credit, and that's great. For business people, credit is a really sore subject. It's nice to get business credit because it allows you to do a lot of things. For example, with the pandemic, we were only able to survive because we have business lines of credit. We were hoping, of course, that in the future we'll generate more money, which will help us pay down the credit. But through the rough months, specifically for us, it's November, December. People don't want to talk about their debt or their credit. They typically will do so in January, February, and March. But it's important to have business lines of credit. Now, you start up the business and you're like, you know what, I've got this great idea. It's a great business and I just need a little bit of money to get me through. Awesome. And the bank goes, congratulations, you're a C Corp, you're an S Corp, you're an LLC, but we need your personal guarantee. And they rate you based on how your credit looks because your future is dictated through a credit score. It's a 3-digit number, many of you know. And that's how you're seen by the bank as a risk. What type of risk? Many people feel that they don't need credit, and that's great. It really is. But the bottom line, it's nice to have that comfort of being able to get your credit. I started my company almost 15 years ago here in San Diego. Prior to that, I was 20 years in the banking circles. And I started out as a collection person and moved my way up through the banking circles. Slowly but surely, I started being in charge of credit. And the typical question was why was I denied? I have a 720 credit score. And the answer through the bank would be typically, well, it's because, you'll get 4 reasons in the mail and you have to figure it out whether or not you can figure it out or not, how that impacts you, what the 4 reasons are. And you're not able to actually specifically tell a person, well, it's because you haven't been employed long enough, or it's because you've applied for too much credit. So my boss came to me and said, hey, listen, we're going to have a first-time home buyer seminar, and I'd like you to talk about credit and budget. And I said, sure. I went in and I started talking about it. And I was allotted 2 hours every quarter. And after my presentation, they said, well, Mr. Allen will be speaking for another 15 minutes to answer questions. Lovely. In that 15-minute period, there was 13 people in line to ask me questions about credit because there is no one place you can actually go to get your questions answered. Well, by the time I answered the question for the first person, my 15 minutes was up. And I had 12 people frustrated going, wait, what about my questions? And they said, I'm sorry, folks, we have to go on to the next presenter. Well, can we get your business card? And I said, yeah, the bank won't really let me do that. They said, okay. Next quarter, did the same presentation. It was 11 people in line to ask questions about credit, how it works, what do I do with, how do I handle this? And to me, these were just general questions. Similar to you, Chuck, that if someone were to ask you a really basic WordPress, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's easy. I deal with this on a daily basis. So I thought, there's a real need to educate people about credit. It's great that the banks are now, banks will now provide you with your credit score. Of course, the interesting thing is, well, how does it compare to others? How do the banks look at you? And what are the keys in doing this? So I started my company, like I said, almost 15 years ago, and we've been doing seminars and educating people and explaining the process of credit. Because if you don't know what the rules are, how are you supposed to play the game? Now, many of my seminars, like I said, I've been doing for almost 15 years now. Average attendance, 10 to 12 people. But to stay on track with the group here, the one that was attended the most had 63 people. And the topic was, should you know what your potential spouse's credit looks like? And not one person was a couple. They either had really good credit or they had really bad credit. And it was interesting because, gosh, she's really cute, or he drives a nice car, or he puts this on, but you don't really know when you start dating somebody. It's not a topic, it's not a question that you bring up in conversation. Oh yeah, that's where do you live? Oh, great. And what's your credit score? Lovely. Part of it was dictated by a conversation that I was at a networking event, and I met this gal, and she says, and I love telling this story because it's very relevant. She says, well, can you explain to me how credit works? I said, it depends. You have to ask a specific question. I can't just go on and just generally speak about it. So she's telling me a story how she's at the Chopra Institute, and she is an East Coast trust fund baby. Her parents were involved with the Kennedys when in the bootlegging, so centuries and centuries. So she has wealth. And she comes to San Diego to visit a friend and decides, you know what, this is a great place to be. So she packed up her bags and she moved to Beverly. And so she falls in love with, and he loves it and everything's great. And for Thanksgiving, they go back to meet the family. And mom, of course, loves him because he's dude. And dad's a little skeptical, and he's like, okay, that's what you like. 3 months later, he proposes, and everyone's excited except her dad, of course. And he says, you know that he has to sign a prenup. And she's like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal. He's not about money. We met at the Chopra Institute. We're all about spirituality, and karma and all this spiritual awakenings. And we don't care about money. Well, she's a dead ringer. She had a cashmere sweater, probably pearls on, and she kind of just oozed her wealth. Bottom line is, she tells dad that they're going to get married, and of course it's not going to be a problem. But she goes to dude and she says, you have to sign a prenup. And he's like, what? I'm not about money. I'm about you. I love you. And she's like, yeah, I know, but it's like my family's wealth. And he's like, well, I didn't know that. What, are you kidding me? Goes on and on. Finally, she goes back to dad and says, Dad, I really love him. He's the love of my life. I've never met anybody like him. He's my spiritual soulmate, yada, yada, yada. Finally convinces dad she's the only daughter. She's the only way of continuing the wealth. Dad finally gives in and says, okay, I'll make a deal with you. He doesn't have to sign a prenup. It's your money that you understand it's the family wealth, but pull a credit report on him. Have him pull a credit report so we can see how much he owes. And she says, well, he doesn't owe very much. He just has medical bills because he's a surfer and doesn't have insurance. So he gets hurt a lot. So they pull a credit report and it shows $8,000 in medical bills. Not a big deal. She's like, I'll take care of that. She's like, AJ, you can handle that for me. I said, yeah, sure, I can handle that. We got it down to about 2. And she says, so how does child support work? And I said, well, what do you mean? She says, well, when they serve you papers, how does that work? I said, well, you have to answer the lawsuit. You have to say, I agree or I deny. And if you deny that you're the father of a child, then the court mandates you to take a DNA test. And based on the results, that's what it is. And so she goes to him and says, okay, what is this child support? I didn't even know you had a kid. And he's like, well, I don't. It's not mine. It's some other girl's with some other guy. In fact, he's a friend of mine. She's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, can I meet him? And he's like, well, no, I don't want to get into that. And bottom line was, she didn't find out that he had a kid for which he was liable, in which the court put a judgment on his credit saying you're liable. And if she would have gone forward with the marriage, by the way, she pulled out. If she wouldn't gone forward with the marriage, her assets would have been in jeopardy because he didn't have a job. He was just basically a spiritual healer through the Chopra Institute. And so neither of them really had a job. But of course, she had oodles and oodles of money that was coming through. But the point was that you don't know what you're getting into, especially in California being a community property state, where the community assets get divided up into the debts. So in this case, once she got a job, she would have been garnished for about an eighth of what her salary was. A fourth, I'm sorry, a fourth of what, I'm sorry, no, it is an eighth of what her assets were. So roundabout story about knowing your credit. Some of the interesting things that I heard was getting your credit. You can actually access your credit and it doesn't cost you any points. Typically, if someone else accesses your credit, it costs you 2 to 12 points, depending on how much credit you have. But it's always good to know, especially now because there's a lot of fraud. I just got a notification this morning that there was a $900 charge on one of my credit cards from Amazon. Now, I do have an Amazon account. And so I was like, whoa, wait a second, what's going on? I check my credit probably every other day. A little paranoid, but I'm in the business. So as far as credit is concerned, I can give you 1 or 2 tips. Obviously, checking your credit is important. It's like I said, especially now with fraud being so rampant. One of the things I do say is your credit score doesn't matter unless you're going to use it. And take a look at it as a picture. You take a picture, you know you're going to take a picture. You get to brush your hair, you make sure you floss your teeth, pluck your eyebrows, whatever it is, to prepare yourself for the picture. So my credit score, it's probably not as high as most of yours. Mine's 727. Not great, not bad. But if I needed to get to the top tier, which is 760, I can do it very easily. Because it's kind of like I said, you know, I shave my head, floss, and make sure that I don't have a waving hair out of place here. So it's very important to be able to access your credit and to see where you stand with yourself. The one other tip that I was going to say is not only should you check your credit, I say check it at least every 3 months. Again, you're not in the business, but if you have a very common name, some of the things that matter are your name, your address, and your social security number. If 2 of the 3 things match, they're going to get a report. So, for example, Dwayne, with your unusual first name, luckily you're special. And so the likelihood of your name being confused with someone else because of your last name is very unlikely. Same with Enball. I believe it's the same with you. Unusual names are obviously the best. So, and I guess that's kind of pretty much it. If you have any specific questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Yes, Chuck.
Well, that was all
You're
really
muted.
interesting. And I never thought about credit like that in terms of fraud. So that I'm assuming you said it's good to check your credit every 3 months and look for dings. Now, with Capital One, I think they'll send me a notification if something changed to my credit. So
That's
is
correct.
it safe to rely on that notification?
You can totally rely.
Okay.
Yeah, you can totally rely on Capital One
Okay,
for
good.
that. Yes, they actually do.
And then a couple other questions. So I'm not sure I understand your business model. Do you work on an hourly basis, or how do you make money educating people on credit?
Right. So we typically do it at presentations. They're actually more specific to different aspects of credit. Like in a business surrounding, why do I promote getting business credit? Kind of similar, like I said, through the rough months, it helps you be able to focus on what you do. My job gets impacted if I can't make the bills, if I can't pay the lease on the car, on the building, employees, utilities, it impacts me. And I can't do what I do best. With a credit line, with a business credit line, I know that those things are going to get taken care of. And it allows me to focus on marketing or doing presentations. So what we do, we do debt settlement. We negotiate. We're an alternative to Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So the education is one aspect of what we do. We do presentations. I've done presentations for as young as, believe it or not, middle school kids to explain the basics of credit, to an MBA program at San Diego State, where the
Well, you might be.
person that was asking the most questions was, the student still didn't get a grasp of how it was going to be impacting them in the future. So what we typically do is we do debt settlement. We negotiate in a Chapter 13.
There might be an internet issue. Can you guys still see me, and can you hear AJ? AJ's frozen, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, AJ's frozen.
Yeah, he was warbling a bit.
Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate. I wanted to ask him if he's can connect back in. AJ, you just so you know, there might have
I'm
been
sorry,
an
did I get?
internet issue. Did you get a message about your internet unstable or something?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I did.
Okay. So one more question. I hear some sort of stories of people that have really large medical bills, and then it's apparently fairly easy to negotiate those big, huge medical bills down with hospitals. Is that something that you help people with? Well, it looks like he's frozen again. So
That's a great question, because I was talking to somebody recently who I don't remember if it was their bill or a family member's, and they said, you tell them you can pay them $5 and you just keep paying them $5. And I said, seriously? And they don't come after you? And he goes, nope. Just say I got $5. I can pay you $5. And I don't know what, they must be able to write things off too when they do their taxes, their corporate or whatever taxes, but I'm not an expert on this, as you know. I'm not the money person or the number person or the techie person.
AJ, you were frozen for a minute, but it looks like you're back to life.
Good.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries. So my question was, I hear some anecdotal stories of people that have very large medical bills, like with hospitals, that they're able to negotiate those substantially. Do you help people with big medical bills renegotiate?
Absolutely. Well, yeah. In fact, about 7 years ago, we've always done medical bills. The negotiation of medical bills is great. So about 7 years ago, we started taking on student loans, and that was a real big thing. But I've seen medical bills probably in the hundreds, but believe it or not, the even larger bills that we're seeing right now are student loan debts. I have 2 doctors that met in medical school, and talk about being in the wrong business at the wrong time. They're both psychiatrists, and between the both of them, they had about $500,000 in student loan debt.
Ouch.
Yeah, we were able to get it down to about 225.
Wow.
But still, I mean, that's still a lot of money. They were renting in North Park. Their rent was $2,800 a month in North Park, which is fine. I mean, that's very, but back then that was pretty reasonable. And their payment for their student loan between the both of them was about $3,200.
Wow.
So they would have been paying more for their student loans than they were for their rent. When we finished negotiating, they were able to buy a house with a mortgage payment of $3,400 a month, and their student loan payment got dropped down to $600 a month. So
How are people finding your business? How are you getting your leads?
Yeah, 99% is through networking. I do a lot of networking. I meet a lot of people. Um, the web is typically not a great way because this is a very sensitive subject. Most people don't want to share their credit. I often say most people would rather I see them naked than see their credit, but because it's a very personal thing. And like I said, I'm like a doctor. I've seen it all. Nothing's going to shock me. I've seen, in the threes, believe it or not. Credit scores range from 350 to, I'm sorry, from 300 to 850. And typically speaking, anything above a 680 is average. The top tier, like I said, is 760. Anything above a 760 is graded the same as an 850. So the way we make our business is we do it through debt settlement. So we charge 15% of what we save people. So if I save you 100 grand, I make 15.
Cool. So I'm assuming a good lead for you is if I sent someone your way that has really large medical bills or really large student loans that they want to negotiate, those are the types of people you want to be talking to, or did I miss the mark?
No, that's right. I mean, I am here to network. I'm not specifically looking for someone like yourself or anyone else. I'm looking to create relationships. So when someone does come to you and say, God, I've got this credit question, or gosh, I can't buy a house because, or these student loans are, then that I come up in top of mind for at least a conversation. We're often able, there's a difference between debt settlement and debt consolidation. In debt consolidation, you typically reduce the amount of interest. So let's just take something as simple as $10,000. If you can't pay the $10,000 and you go through debt consolidation, and let's say you're paying 10% interest on a loan. Through debt consolidation, they'll take that $10,000 and they'll just drop the interest from 10% to 5%, that's a good chunk of money. Through debt settlement, we actually reduce the principal. So we would take the 10,000 and drop it down to, let's say, 3,000, and there would be no interest. So yeah, I mean that we handle the financial CDCs, anything that has to deal with debt, credit, or collections.
Really, really interesting. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have any other questions for AJ?
Yeah, I got one. When I did check my credit last time, I couldn't get Experian. Is there a reason for that? Sorry.
I don't know. Where are you from? Dwayne? Oh, no problem. So a lot of it depends on where you're from as well. So for example, if you're on the
Sorry,
West.
I'm from the UK originally, but I've been in the States since 2000.
In what part?
What part of the UK?
United States.
I started off in Boston and came to San Diego.
How long have you been in San Diego?
Since 04.
Okay. So I don't know when you got to Boston, but typically Experian is a West Coast reporting agency. That's the one that you access more. In the Midwest, it's TransUnion, and on the East Coast, it's Equifax.
Okay,
And just
that explains a lot, actually.
A quick note on that, by the way, just since we're making a reference to the UK, we had no credit laws. In fact, we borrowed them from, and this goes back to, many of you probably don't recall, but do you remember TRW? So TRW was a British company that kind of helped us establish our credit laws here in the States. And of course, as you know, or maybe many of you would know or not, you're guilty until proven innocent. So the credit agencies can put anything they want on your credit report. And it's your responsibility to dispute it. Once you dispute it, then they have to validate it. So therein lies the caveat. If you don't know what's on your credit, that's why I say you should check it every 3 months. Or like you said, Chuck, if you have a monitoring system like Capital One, or banks are now doing that much more frequently, as are credit card issuers. We're allowing you to get your credit score to watch what happens up and down. Credit Karma is a very good one as well. It's a free service that if you don't have your credit card or through your bank, you can use Credit Karma to kind of weave your way through. But yeah, so that's why it's good to see what's on there, because in case, let's say that you didn't know what your credit was like and you absolutely needed to have a purchase put on credit, it's good to know that you'd be able to do that.
So do you help people then kind of deal with that?
Yeah, absolutely. We answer all, like I said, we answer all of the CDC's credit, debt, and collection issues.
All righty. Any other questions for AJ? And I assume if you have something you don't want in a public forum, they could
it's okay.
contact
I
you.
don't care.
They could
Yeah.
maybe contact you by phone after the meeting or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I have buku student loans, and I'm paying what do you call it? Fees at this point, because I've got the gift of gab and negotiation myself, and so I got it, so I'm just paying fees. That said, because I've worked with at-risk students in the past, and I predominantly work for a nonprofit university, I keep seeing this stuff about you can get some loans forgiven.
Right.
But the last time I applied, I sent a letter to Navient, that lovely company. They said I didn't qualify, and so do you know what I need to get from National University to send them? Because I can't seem to get a straight answer out of Navient.
Are you a full-time student? I'm sorry, are you a full-time professor at National?
No, I'm an adjunct professor. I've never had a full-time professorship because I just have a master's. I don't have a PhD. And most places don't hire you unless you're famous for a full professorship. But that's why I do. I never really wanted a full-time professorship because I like doing the writing and the coaching and everything else. So I like having a variety of this, projects and things.
Got
So
it.
I think that's the key, that I'm not full-time.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully Biden will do something about this.
Well, the plan that's on the table is a forgiveness of up to 10,000.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Oy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we're actually writing a self-serving proposal to have the 10,000 be part of a negotiation. So the example would be if you owe 30,000 and the government agrees to waive 10,000 of it, you'll borrow the other 20,000 to pay off the 30,000.
Yeah, because I talked to somebody like you once that I think he was on one of our calls, the sessions, and he explained all this stuff to me, and then I found out I was going to have to pay another bill, pay him every single month to do it, and I'm going, I don't want to add that to my overhead. So
Sure.
I said, well, as long as I've got things under control, even though I try not to look at the amount. But yeah, it's like, what was I going to say? So good. So no amount of persuasive letter writing is going to get them to forgive me. Okay. Unless we get something. Yeah, they're always very nice, and
Well,
sympathetic, but
the forgiveness, you're not going to be totally forgiven. No.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the education.
yeah.
You're the one that's making money off of it. So what typically would happen is if in the negotiation process, and like you said, you're a negotiator, you can probably do it all yourself.
Yeah.
We have we go through the legal channels.
Yeah.
But let's say you have 100,000, if you come to them and say 40,000, they would probably take it.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
But again, you've got to come up with the 40,000.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, I don't want to. Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, I figure like every once in a while it blips up in my head. I wonder if there's anything I could do about this. And every time I pay my bill to Navy, I think, I wonder if I can get them to. But the good news is that my kids aren't responsible for it when I die. That's a plus.
That's
Unlike
correct.
medical bills, because my parents, because of all their medical bills, they took the house after they died, you know. So yeah.
Unfortunately, you won't be able to buy. You had mentioned that you're looking to buy probably in the future.
Uh-huh.
With student loans, you probably won't be able to unless they're in great status and you don't have and the minimum payment would be included into your budget.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah. Well, thank you. I keep buying lotto tickets.
Well, Martin Luther King had a dream too. Look what happened.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know. One of these days I'll write a book that'll hit the bestseller list, though. It could still happen, right?
Yeah, I was going to say in that last Powerball, I missed winning it by only 6 numbers.
Oh my goodness, only 6 numbers? Oh, wow. God, that was a close one.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions for AJ?
This is great. You know, you speak very matter of factly and you're easy to follow, because there's been times I've listened to presentations and I'm going, I got the 10 million mile stare and trying to like seem attentive, but everything's going.
Well, thank you. Appreciate
I
it.
agree. I agree. It was a very well done presentation. So thank you. And again, if people have questions that they don't want in a public forum, contact AJ after the meeting. And so let's see, it's 12:47. So we have 13 minutes. And I want to educate you guys on something that I learned in Zoom. And I don't, maybe you all know this, but in the chat system, if you're trying to save some of the information,
Oh, yeah.
there's in the chat system, do you see where it says file, and right next to that there's
Yeah.
3 little dots? If you click on those 3 little dots, you can save the chat to, and it will save it to a text file. Like I have a Mac, and if I click on that, those 3 little dots, and I click on save chat, then I click on show in Finder, it'll show me where that that chat file is. So I'm going to make sure that I save this because I'm going to be updating the member directory of the website. But I wanted to share that. And then, so since we have 12 minutes, does anyone want to give a 3 to 5 minute presentation on any topic at whatsoever? Or if no one wants to do that, we could also try out the breakout rooms. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end the recording right now. So anyone watching on YouTube, thank you so much for jumping on the call, and we'll see you hopefully at the next Zoom meeting. So let me end